It is very nice to see you all here. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Dasha Pomeranzev. I'm the Global Peoplehood Associate at the Louis D. and Morton J. Max Center for Jewish Education, Baltimore. I can see so many new faces here. Looking at the registration forms, we realized that we have guests from California, from Florida, from Texas, and from New York. It's very lovely to see you all here. Perhaps it would be nice to briefly reintroduce ourselves and tell you more about who we are and what we do. Center of Jewish Education Baltimore, or CGE, is a considered agency of the Associated Jewish Federation of Baltimore. Education is the glue that holds Baltimore Jewish community together, and CGE provides resources and support for Jewish learners of all ages, maintaining vital connections to educational and social events that elevate and unify the vibrant Jewish community of Baltimore. On the CGE website, you can, I just posted the CGE website so you can check it. You can find the program for families, adults, children, educators, and individuals with disabilities. You can check out a book from our library in English, Russian, or Hebrew. You can find a preschool or congregation for your family. You can download the free materials for in-home celebration of Jewish holidays. And we also have an amazing crafts room for arts and crafts and volunteering projects. And you can visit it once we are open again. I work at the Global Peoplehood Education Department at CGE. Global Peoplehood connects Jews in Baltimore with the Jewish community around the world, especially in Israel. We explore and educate about different Jewish communities around the globe. Last year, we facilitated several programs around Ethiopian Jewish community and celebrated the Ethiopian Jewish festival Sigd. And this year, we decided to explore the Indian Jewish community, which is one of the oldest in the world. And I encourage you to check our Facebook page, because last week we posted several educational videos, including the video of Dr. Henry Abramson, The Origins of Jews in India from Jewish History Lab. And in this video, you can find out the history of the main Jewish communities in India: Cochin, Bene Israel, Baghdadi, and Paradesi. And today we have a very special guest, Samson Koletkar, aka Mahatma Moses. He has been named one of the 10 best Indian origin comedians of the last decade. He has performed all over the United States, Canada, and India, and he's the only he's the world's only Indian Jewish stand-up comedian. And Samson will talk about his family story and the Indian Jewish community. So for the best experience for our performer and all viewers, can you please turn on the videos and unmute yourselves? If there is any background noise, you can mute yourself, take care of the noise, and unmute yourself again. And we will mute you if you don't realize that you are causing trouble. Let's take a second and turn the screens on if you can. It would be really helpful. Although we're all in Zoom, but it would be nice if we feel as if we are sitting at the cafe and listening to Samson in person, that he can see you and you can see him. It would be great. And also you can communicate with him as well. So, okay, and can you please unmute yourselves? Hello, hi, Julie. Can I kindly ask you to unmute yourselves, because it would be nice for you to participate in the conversation. If you can unmute yourselves and make some noise, so that we can hear you. Hey, hello.
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 Hello. I think we're ready. We're ready to meet Mahatma Moses.
Elizabeth Lebo's on here. Elizabeth Lebo.
Hello, Joy.
Hi, Elizabeth.
Hello. All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining. I have to admit, right off the top, this is the quietest bunch of Jews that I've ever met. Usually, when I meet Jews, they have a lot to tell and a lot to talk. Right? The old saying, 2 Jews have 3 opinions. How do we have 28 Jews being so quiet? Come on, everybody, let's get those videos and audios turned on.
All right.
More fun. Otherwise, this turns into a radio gig for me. And if you guys are looking at me in the spotlight mode, then you're just seeing me right now, but I'm looking at everybody in the gallery mode. That way I get to see everybody. And the bottom half of my screen currently looks like a gathering for Black Tiles Matter. So it'd be nice if we can get some more audio videos on. Thank you for having me. I am so glad to be here on a Sunday afternoon. That's my prime time for doing comedy shows. I really appreciate it. I know it's 6 p.m. where you guys are. I have been to Baltimore more than once by choice. So thank you. Also, this is the tricky medium of doing comedy on Zoom. We usually prefer being in the room, so when people heckle us, we can go down there and punch them in the face, right? But now all I can do is mute you, and that's not very empowering. That doesn't feel like a powerful. But anyway, that was a joke. You guys didn't laugh at it. That's gonna be a tough 30 minutes for me now. Thank you. I hope that you guys take my words very seriously sometimes. Where do I start? I'll talk about the live shows first, all right? Because the thing that I miss the most about live shows is at the end of the shows, I don't know what it is about me, but people like to come to me and talk to me and give me a lot of feedback. They'll tell me things like, go back to where you come from. Yeah. Haven't heard that in 2 years. I am missing live shows so much. I'm starting to wonder, like, what kind of America is this? This is not the America I grew up in, but I didn't grow up here, but you get my point, right? And look, I understand, like, a lot of my friends are like, dude, whoever says that is so racist. I'm like, yeah, but they are such caring, considerate racist. I'll explain, okay? I know that I look very ambiguous. So when they see me, they're not sure where I'm from. So they're like, hey man, I don't like you. And I want you to go back. But I don't want you to go back to the wrong country and get into trouble. You know where you're from? Just go back to where you come from. Be safe in your own country. That's a caring, considerate racist. No, I like this guy.
Very
Also, that phrase, go back to where you come from, it's a very American experience for me. I've only heard it in America. Because I grew up in India, right? The original melting pot of the world, where people from around the world have lived together for centuries. And you can argue, disagree, debate with anybody on anything. Nobody ever tells you to go back to where you come from. They tell you to go to Pakistan. So here we are. It's the same thing around the globe. Also good to see everybody happy and safe in their own living rooms. Some of you are not observing social distancing. That's fine. I'm hoping you are with your family, not with. I like how Jeff who got a little head on his shoulder as soon as I said that. Also, thanks for letting us know you're using the iPad Air. That's a very humble brag. I appreciate the way you let it out. It's not just an iPad, it's an iPad Air, okay? I actually got COVID back in December 2020, before it was the vaccinated ones who were getting it, right? And I remember people used to always say when you get COVID, it makes you very weak. COVID makes you weak. Not me. I actually felt very strong and powerful. Almost like I had a superpower. Because the minute I found out I have COVID, I immediately started remembering all those people that I had been avoiding for years. I was like, hey,
Go get 'em.
Say hi to a few of them.
Go get them.
Right, exactly. Clean up some shit from this planet, open up some parking spaces for the rest of you. My contribution to my community. Yeah. I'm logging right now. Once again, majority of you have your videos turned off. I'm not sure what kind of shady stuff you're doing at home, but it's okay if you can turn your videos on. I'm looking at Michael, Ken, Jeff, Ashley, Tsippy, another iPad, Elizabeth, Julie's kitchen, minus Julie, and Robin and Oris. Thank you for joining. See, I called everyone out by names. This is good.
Thank you.
I was also born and raised in Bombay, or Mumbai, if you are politically annoying. And I was raised Jewish, yeah, which in America brings up a lot of interesting questions when people find out I'm from India, raised Jewish. Questions like, really? Are you really Jewish? I'm like, what are they expecting me to say? Like, oh no, you got me. You are so good at recognizing people just by looking at them. You must be Columbus. Thanks, Jeff. That was a Indian joke.
I got it.
Michael's playing with his special effects. Thanks, Michael. I like that too.
That's good.
Yeah. The other question I get a lot, were you born Jewish? No. I was born a baboon. And as I grew up, I realized that I am better than everyone else. So I became Jewish. Thanks again. That is a Jewish joke. Yeah.
It was
The
chosen.
other- I was chosen. Thank you. I like how I'm getting some tags for my jokes. I will write them down for the next show. Thanks, Jeff.
Sure.
Yeah. And if people laugh, I don't know. We'll figure out. Because the third question I get as a follow-up is, are both your parents Jewish? No. My father is a Christian and my mother is a Muslim, and they hated each other so much they raised me Jewish. Right? Michael liked that more than everyone else. You see how fun it is when people actually laugh. Like you should turn your videos and audios on so the rest of them are like, oh, that's when I was supposed to laugh. Okay, and then they can laugh at the jokes too.
That's good.
The thing that I've noticed though, right? All these questions that I get here in America usually come from other Jews, right? Some of them are like almost like, oh, you are Jewish? Hold on, first I gotta validate you. Are you really Jewish? Were you born Jewish? Are both your parents Jewish? Now, here's the backstory, all right? My mom, born and raised in a Hindu family, married my dad, born and raised in a Jewish family. My mom converted when she got married. So when I was born, she was Jewish, which according to the Jewish law makes me Jewish. But I have stopped explaining this to any and everybody except when I'm on stage. And here's why. Right? One time I was talking to somebody and I'm explaining, oh yeah, my mom was born and raised in a Hindu family. He goes, you're not a Jew. And I was like, hold on, Sherlock Holmes. Let me finish my statement. And then when I went on explaining that she converted when she married, so when I was born, she was Jewish. I think that makes me Jewish. And he goes, I don't know, she converted. I'm like, yeah, that's what I just explained. Is that a problem? He goes, no problem. But she converted. I'm like, all right, if that's your big issue, let's think about this for a minute, right? Because we all know who was the first Jew? Abraham, right? And how was Abraham the first Jew? According to our stories, one day Abraham heard this voice that said, Abraham, from now on, you are a Jew. And you realize I'm speaking like the voice of God speaking to Abraham in an Indian accent. Here's my other question, right? Why do we always give God this very solid masculine voice? We don't know what God sounded like. It could have been, Abraham, you're a Jew now, right? We don't know. We don't know. But let's give God the benefit of doubt, as if we haven't done that enough already. And let's say God had a very solid masculine voice and he said, Abraham, from now on, you are a Jew. And Abraham was like, who are you? I am God. Really? Are you really God? Were you born a God? About your parents' gods? And I guess God must have been happy. He's like, hey, look, I chose the right Jew. He's asking me all the questions. Right? So, okay. According to the story, let's say Abraham was the first Jew, but then he married Sarah, not born Jewish, no Jewish parents, so obviously not Jewish. And in Judaism, the mother has to be Jewish for the sons to be Jewish. Their son Isaac isn't a Jew either. So pretty much, Abraham was the first and the last Jew. The rest of us in delusion. How about that for validation? Right? I'm glad you guys are smiling because the gentleman earlier wasn't done. He immediately came back with, hey, you're right, Sarah wasn't born Jewish, but you don't know. Maybe she converted. Like, dude, that's the whole bloody point of my story. Right? So you are telling me that you are okay with the hypothetical possibility that Sarah might have converted, but you had a problem with the fact that my mom did convert. What are you, stupid? Were you born stupid? But your parents stupid. Thanks, Michael. I appreciate the one loud laughter in that joke. That's usually, that's my goal for Zoom, right? One joke, one tile.
Right?
Yeah, polite.
You off.
You are polite. Thanks, Oris. I also like that Suzanne Rubin is doing like sign language. I see a lot of hands moving in that little tile. I don't see any faces, but that's okay. Maybe that's her way of making like, yeah, I'm laughing. Ha ha ha. All right. What else has been going on? I live in the San Francisco Silicon Valley, and I am an Indian person living in the Silicon Valley, which means no points for guessing what my day job is. That's right. I am a Kama Sutra instructor. Thank you, everybody. You're welcome.
What?
A Kama Sutra instructor was the joke.
Oh,
I like when I had to explain my joke twice. Thank you. No, I work in tech, right? It's the law. That's how they let us in. Because when I arrived at the American San Francisco airport, the American the immigration officer, he looks at me and he doesn't ask me for my passport, doesn't ask me for my visa. He asks me for my laptop configuration.
Okay.
All right, that looks good. You can come here and. But I do work in tech, and I find some of the tech aspects very annoying. Like, for example, this happened recently. My manager was gone for 2 weeks, didn't see him at work. And then 2 weeks later, he comes back, and I figured out that he had taken a 2-week break for a management training program that he underwent. And I found out on my own. He didn't tell me a thing. The way I found out, he came back 2 weeks later, and every conversation that I had with him would end with him telling me, oh, Samson, that is an excellent feedback and a wonderful insight. Every time, right? Like one time I said, oh, I think we should add another resource to the project or we might miss the deadline. He goes, Samson, that is an excellent feedback and a wonderful insight. Another time I suggested, I think we should increase our interactions with the client, put up some more calls. He goes, Samson, that is an excellent feedback and a wonderful insight. Every single time. It got so annoying. One day we had this meeting and I was like, look, sir, I appreciate you appreciating everything I tell you. But saying it's an excellent feedback and a wonderful insight every single time devalues it, demeans it. Say it when you really mean it. My manager sat back, looked at me, thought for a moment, and said, Samson, that is an excellent feedback and a wonderful insight. Like that is an effect of a management program.
Oh, God.
I see some of you laughed at the joke. You get the joke. Some of you weren't laughing. You probably are managers. Okay. COVID has also been rough, right? It's been tough on everybody. You know, I found out how hard COVID has hit the economy last year on my way from San Francisco to Mumbai. Because I was flying from San Francisco to Mumbai on United Airlines. And I realized COVID has hit the economy so hard because United was treating its passengers with dignity. I went from San Francisco to New Jersey to Mumbai and back 4 flights, not one person dragged off the plane. I was like, this is amazing, United. How are you doing it? The other thing that a lot of people like to talk about is there anything that you have learned from the pandemic? 2 years of shutdown, lockdown, stay at home. What has it taught you? I'll tell you what, to me, right? if I really sum up the entire lockdown, it comes down to three things, only three things. For the entire lockdown, people just constantly telling me where to go, what to do, what to wear. That's it. The whole pandemic, constantly, hey, don't go outside, stay inside. Wear a mask, wear some gloves. Avoid crowded places, don't sneeze in people's faces, right? Constantly being told where to go, what to do, what to wear. I have been told where to go, what to do, what to wear so many times throughout this pandemic. I now feel like a woman. Some of the women are laughing. Michael wasn't laughing so much on that joke. Michael will send you the explanation later on. But there are some things that have not changed through the pandemic. Okay. Like here's what happened. Recently, I got a call from a telemarketer. Usually I would just go, no, thank you, hang up. But I'm like, hey, what else do I have to do now? So I stayed on the phone just to see where it goes. And then this was the entire conversation. Okay. I pick up the phone. I go, hello, this is Samson. Back comes the voice. Hello, this is Comcast. We have a special offer for you. We can save you $40 a month on your cable bill. Can you tell me how much you spend on cable every month? And I said, I don't have cable, so I spend zero. And I thought that was the end of the conversation. Obviously not, right? This guy comes back with, oh, well, in that case, for our brand new customers who sign up now, we are giving away the $99.95 monthly package for just $59.95, thereby saving you $40 a month.
That doesn't work.
And I was like, did you just try to pull a math joke on an Indian dude?
That was good.
So here's what I told him at the moment. I said, okay, I will sign up as a brand new customer right now if you send me $19.95 every month. And he goes, what? And I said, look, you want new customers? If I sign up as a new customer, I am worth about $60 a month to you, which means if I don't sign up, you will potentially lose $60 every month. But if you send me $20 every month, now I have become a customer. Instead of losing 60, you're only losing 20, and I just saved you $40 a month. Yeah. And then for the first time in my life, I had a telemarketer hang up on me. Yeah, felt pretty good. I also like that I can do a math joke to a room, an audience full of Jewish people, because we are all good at math. Sometimes I do that at a comedy club. They're like, dude, don't throw equations at me, slow down, right? So I appreciate the intelligence here. Thank you very much. I also, my favorite food is, no points for guessing that, right? Indian food as well, right? I think it's the best food in the world. Tastes better than anything else. What I'm not a big fan of, Indian restaurants, especially here in America. Because you know, there are some things you will hardly ever find at an Indian restaurant. Things like
Indian
customer
food.
service. Somebody said something, I missed that one, but the point I was making, you will hardly ever find things like customer service. Okay. Some of you have been there. For the rest of you, I will give you an example. Okay. I was at this Indian restaurant. It was 9:45 p.m. The waiter comes over and goes, sir, 15 minutes to closing. Is there anything else I can get you? And I said, yes. Can I get some chai? This is what that waiter tells me. Sorry, sir. The chai is over. I'm like, dude, first of all, this is America. You are supposed to waste food, not run out of it. And second, I am in your restaurant ordering from your menu. You have a kitchen back there. Go and make some chai for me. Don't tell me chai is over. What if I did the same thing back to them? Walk up to their cash counter. How much? 30? Yes, 20. Sorry, money's over.
I wish.
I like that some of you were laughing. Some of you probably look like we're taking notes. Like, yeah, that's a good thing to try tomorrow. Because every time I do that joke, I start getting calls from Indian restaurants like, dude, stop doing the joke. Give you all the chai you want any time of the night. Also, my in-laws are coming in from India to stay with us for a short while, like 2 months. You know, the last time I went to pick them up at the airport, I remember thinking to myself, where is the Trump travel ban when you need one? By the way, I should mention very quickly that my wife and I also have a mixed marriage. My wife is Hindu, I'm Jewish. So I always tell people that she puts the Om in my Shalom. That's a nice, cheeky, cute little line, which I realize wouldn't sound so nice and cute if the roles were reversed. Like if I was Hindu and she was Jewish, I couldn't be like, I put my Om in her Shalom. That just doesn't sound right. Thanks, Elizabeth, for the silent laughter. I see you laughing. I appreciate that. But you know, with my in-laws coming, a lot of my friends are like, dude, why do you keep complaining about them? At least you get to eat good home-cooked Indian food every single day. And I'm like, no, I don't. Okay, because my mother-in-law is a doctor. So when she cooks, it doesn't taste like good Indian food. It tastes like hospital food.
No.
And I am in the kitchen every night arguing with my mother-in-law, telling her, hey, put some extra oil, fry it some more, put some spices, make it tasty. She's like, but that's not healthy for you. Like, it's okay, you're a doctor, you can fix me later. Right? Like, give me some good food first, fix me later. That's how capitalism works. Welcome to America. And again, I appreciate some of you laughing at that because my wife does not. Yeah, she actually gets mad at me. She's like, why do you have to be so rude to my mom? Why can't you just eat what she makes? And I said, look, if only you had been a little more honest throughout your childhood, maybe we wouldn't have had this problem today. You know what I mean? Like, you kept eating her hospital food. You should have let her know, give her some feedback, help her improve. You never gave her a chance.
Yeah.
And I understand that you're an Indian kid growing up in India with an Indian mom. You say something, should have slapped you. You were scared. I get that part. But was there nobody in the family who could have said a word? Did your mom not get any clues throughout her life? Like, did this never happen? You guys had a family party. At the party, all the aunties made some food, brought it to the party. At the end of the night, all the food was gone except your mom's.
Oh.
That never happened. Because here's the part I don't get. My wife spends hours writing 1-star reviews for restaurants on Yelp she'll never visit again. Like, why not take a minute to tell your mom not good food? How hard is that to do? And what do you want me to do? Open a Yelp page for your mom so we can all go write her 1-star review? Because look, my mom, great cook. Okay. Do you think she was born a great cook? I made her a great cook. Okay. That's what I spent my entire childhood doing. Anytime my mom brought me food I didn't like, I would immediately go, yeah, what's this? And she's like, oh, okay, I'll go make something better. And then took the food into the kitchen, brought it back out. 10 minutes later, same dish, so much more tasty. And I was always amazed. I'm like, how do you do it, mom? How did you take something so bad into the kitchen, brought it back out in 10 minutes? You made it taste so good. What do you put into it? Every single time my mom goes, my tears.
Oh. Push mother.
Hey, no pain, no gain, right? I put my mom through all the pain. Look at the gain in her cooking skills. So if there are any kids here listening, let your parents know. Right? I like Robin shaking her head. I can only assume you are in the medical field. Are you a doctor? No. At this point, you're not for the rest of the show. Okay, fair enough. But don't get me wrong, Indian food I still love. It's my favorite food. Not a big fan of American food. Every time I had to go eat American food, the first thing I need to do is put some salt and pepper. Right? Salt and pepper is my savior, which is also why I really pity all those countries that are struck in natural disasters like tsunamis and earthquakes. Is it not bad enough that people have lost their families and their homes? America goes and makes food drops. As if to say, oh, you think your life sucks? Here, eat some American food. Maybe that will help put things in perspective. And that's also where I believe India has a good chance to build some public relations. Every place they see America making food drops, India should fly behind, drop some salt and pepper. Hey, here you go, enjoy your food. So one time I was doing this joke at a Jewish event. It was a live event, all right? And as soon as I said we should throw some salt and pepper, there was this old Jewish lady in the back of the room. She goes, ooh. And then I got very curious, like, why did you make that sound? And she goes, what if the pepper goes in their eyes? And then I don't know why I felt the urge to clarify, no, we will throw packets. Like this was a serious logistical issue that we are going to resolve in the middle of my show. And then another time I was doing the same joke at an Indian event, a live show, a live Indian event. And as soon as I said we should throw some salt and pepper, there was this Indian auntie, she got up, she went, you should also throw some pickle. And I was like, what am I, Continental Airlines? Flying around the world, like, hey, what do you want? Salt and pepper? Here you go. What do you want? Pickle? Here you go. What do you want? Chutney? Sorry, chutney is over. But I'm also keeping an eye on the time. I'll leave you guys with one last joke. I saw this post on Facebook recently, and the post said, sometimes all the therapy in the world you need is talking to your sister. So I reposted that on my Facebook. I tagged my sister and I wrote, sometimes all the therapy in the world you need is because of talking to your sister. Once again, some of you like the joke, you get the joke. Some of you who didn't like it are the sisters who this joke was for. So thank you, everybody. That is my part of the show. So I really appreciate you guys coming and joining me. Thank you so much, Dasha. I'll hand it back to you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you.
I have, so now we can ask some questions. The first question, if it's possible, I will ask you this question because I'm just genuinely interested. And then you can also ask your questions yourself, and then you can also put them in the chat, and I can ask Samson these questions. So we advertise this event as a Malida to Bishvat comedy show. This event is happening just after Tu B'Shvat, and which has a very special meaning for Bene Israel community. And I know that you are from Bene Israel community. You mentioned this, and there is a legend that I read that on this day, so on the Tu B'Shvat, 7 Jewish men and 7 Jewish women from ancient Israel were shipwrecked off the coast of ancient India, and fearing for their lives, the 14 survivors prayed to Eliyahu Hanavi and were saved. And in memory and thanksgiving, Indian Bene Israel Jews mark Tu B'Shvat with a special ceremony called Malida. Can you tell us more about your experience of Malida? And do you celebrate it with your family at home? And what other Indian Jewish traditions do you have?
Well, I can tell you now the most traditional Jewish thing that I do is I do comedy shows every Friday, Saturday. That's the most Jewish thing I have. But it's fascinating about the legend, the story about the 7 couples who survived, right? That's what I had also heard growing up. There were 7 ships after the destruction of the second temple. There were tribes that spread around the world. One of those landed on the west coast of India. And of the 7 ships, they crashed on the rocks. Only 7 couples survived. And I find it very fascinating how it was like Jewish history is so mathematically perfect, like 7 couples that survived. Not like 8 men and 6 women, exactly 7 and 7. It's also when Noah built the ark, he always found like pairs of animals to go inside. Like, yeah, everything just matches up. The numbers always add up. All right. That's a very Jewish thing. Our numbers, that's why we do make such good accountants. And the part of Malida, I don't know about whether we celebrate Malida for it. My understanding of Malida was it's the ceremony we do for any Jewish occasion, right? So for example, if it's a happy occasion, I graduated, my parents were like, finally, our dreams have come true, right? Because I was doing it for them. Then we would celebrate with a Malida. If it's a birthday, if it's a wedding, Malida was a process of that. And the actual Malida that we do, the Hindu equivalent would be a puja, right? When Hindus do the rituals, we do Malida where you sing the songs, we have fruits that we eat, and then the special thing that we eat, the Malida itself, it's made out of flattened rice called poha. I actually bought this from the Indian store here recently. This is what it looks like. Okay, it's flattened rice, and you soak it in water and you make it. It's a substitute for rice, and it tastes really good. So I remember eating that a lot. That was a very common tradition across all Jewish events at home. Tu Bishwat, I am not sure if that's the marking, but again, I don't know the full history of the Jews in India. I've forgotten a little bit of the details that were imbibed in me while I was there, but I would love to read that up. I'm not sure if that marks the arrival of Jews in India, but you read about it, so somebody knows it better than I do.
So you can ask your questions now. You can unmute yourselves and yeah, ask us anything.
All right. Quiz time. Yes, Elizabeth.
So are in India, do Jews mostly fall within the arena of Reform Jews or conservative Jews or Orthodox? What is it like there?
You know, that's a fascinating question because first of all, the numbers of Indian Jews now is like 6,500 at most. And what I have learned is no matter how small the community gets, you'll find that entire spectrum of Jews in that community too. So we do have the Orthodox, the ultra-Orthodox who keep kosher, who keep Sabbath, who have very strict rules that they follow. And then there are Jews like me who almost follow nothing, right? And everything in between. And I had this realization more than any other time when I was a part of a Jewish youth group in Bombay. There was one that we had functioning. And for Rosh Hashanah, we actually decided to throw a dance party. Because Christian New Year's, you go dance. Hindu New Year's, you go out in the streets and celebrate. Jewish New Year's, you go to the synagogue and pray, which I personally found very boring because to me, prayers are like something you do in a language, half of which we don't understand, saying things, half of which we don't believe, to a room full of people, half of whom are asleep. So I generally found it very boring and we're like, hey, let's have some fun like every other community. So we threw a dance party and we got reprimanded for it by the Orthodox community. Like, hey, you're not supposed to be celebrating and dancing on Rosh Hashanah. It's the 10 days of judgment that are coming up. And I'm like, I did not realize that God was a judge of America or India's Got Talent. Like, does he really judge us if we are dancing? What's wrong with it? So that was my realization, like, oh, like it's a thing that people are very touchy about. So I think in a nutshell, if you find one Jew in some country, I can tell you that throughout the day, he will also be changing his belief system. Like he'll be very reform at one point, he'll be very orthodox at the other, and he'll keep moving. He or she will keep moving back and forth. We had the entire spectrum as well, I think.
Thank you.
I have a question. Has any of you been to India? By show of hands? No. All right. I also like the response that you gave me, right? It was a straight yes and no question. I got a straight yes and no answer. One time I asked that question at a show in a room, and somebody goes, no, but I've been to 7-Eleven. Yeah, and then the audience that night got offended on my behalf, which I was like, I don't get it. Like, why are you offended? Because I took it as a compliment, right? Because if you think about all the Indian stereotypes in America, right? 7-Eleven, gas stations, cab drivers, tech support, in each and every stereotype, the Indian has a job. So I was like, thank you, come again, right? But anyway. You should go. India is a fascinating place. It's a very different world. I also, I didn't do that as a part of my jokes today, but very honestly, I've heard a lot of people in America talk about how crowded New York is. And I come from the city of Bombay, which is less than half the size of New York and has more than twice the population.
Wow.
Yes. And I mean, your definition of crowd changes completely if you ever go there. But it's also very different culturally. Does anybody have questions? Because I can keep rambling on. That's what I do. I like to talk. I'd rather
I have
Yeah.
a question. I have a question from some of the participants sent in advance. So,
Sure.
were you able to find a Jewish community in San Francisco, and how it is different than your community that you grew up?
Well, I did find the Jewish community in San Francisco. Even here, there are multiple groups and subgroups and multiple congregations. Some of those questions that I was talking about in my routine did come from the Jewish community of San Francisco, because they were like, wait a second, what, Jew from India? Never heard of one before. And the way I got connected was more of a social connection. So I tried finding like a young adults division in San Francisco, and they used to have Hanukkah Purim events and then other social events. And I would go, that was my way to meet more people. Because coming from 24 years of living in Bombay, suddenly into San Francisco Bay Area where I know nobody, was very lonely and isolation. And so that was my way of trying to connect with more on purely a social point. So there is, and then of course, when I got into comedy, it's full of Jews. And we did a tour called You're Funny, But You Don't Look Jewish. And yeah, it was a tour of 4 comedians. I was one of them, the Indian Jewish comic. There was a Vietnamese Jewish comic. There was a Black Jewish storyteller. She used to tell funny stories, not a stand-up purely, but funny storyteller. And then the producer of the show was an Italian Jewish guy. And he moved from San Francisco to London 3 years ago. So the tour is on hiatus for now. But we did about 50 shows across US and Canada. It was a lot of fun.
Please introduce us. So we're gonna do something with them as well.
Sounds good. We'll do happily.
We have a question from Tikva Womak. What role has humor played in your intersection of being Jewish and Indian, and do you find it has helped?
That's a very like philosophical question. I don't know. I think I always had this inkling for being funny and being somebody who had a witty, sarcastic remark on anything. I don't know if it's the Jewish in me, if the Indian in me, or if it's both of it enhancing my sarcasm. But it was the way we were. Like my family, we are always trying to one up each other. If I say something, somebody say retort back with something, and then I had to give one back again. So there was a lot of banter that happened, and it definitely helped with moments that were not like that were frustrating. For example, not very religious practicing, but when the ultra religious come in and try to impose their ideas on you, then the way you try to counter that is through something that's like, see, I'll give you one example specifically. Okay, this happened here in San Francisco. I was doing a Jewish event. I finished my stand-up, and then there was a rabbi who asked me if I could wear a tefillin and he could do a prayer for me. And I was like, yeah, but I don't do that. And he goes, yeah, but it will make me feel good. I'm like, yeah, but I don't do that. And he's like, yeah, but it will make me feel good. You will get some good karma out of it. You just have to wear a tefillin. Like, it's not a big thing. You just wear it. I'll do the prayers. And that's the part which I was like, okay, in return, can we both go and eat some halal meat? because it will make me feel good. It's not a big deal. You're just eating meat, but it will make me feel good. Like when I made the same point back and he backed, I was like, okay, don't wear it, right? I'm sure I was a little annoyed to him because his tone back was like, don't wear it. And then he just walked away. But that kind of sarcasm that kicks into me, I think it's a little better way to make your point across. And I think in general, I don't know if I wasn't doing stand-up, what I'd be doing. Life would be much harder. So it's the best Jewish way that I've learned to live is through humor and asking questions.
It's the pineapple juice with lemonade. It's good.
We also have a question, a very interesting question. Indian mother and a Jewish mother, similarities and differences.
I would think very similar. There's a joke about how Indians are doctors and engineers and Jews are doctors and lawyers. So in America, especially with the stereotype, but I think the idea of mothers play a big role. In my family, it's a very woman-dominated family, not just like in terms of status, but also pure numbers. Because I have 2 girls, so I'm severely outnumbered at home. My dad lived with his wife and sister. My sister has a daughter. So we just, my mom's the strong woman in the house. She gets things done. We kind of follow her. So I look up to her a lot. And I think that's generally what's portrayed, right? Like women are strong and they influence a lot of what you do. Similarities, I mean, my mom's both Indian and Jewish, so I don't know if I can draw like, that is all in her. So, but yeah, I found most mothers are similar. I have a whole joke about mothers, but I didn't do that today. I'll send you a video clip if you want to watch. But yeah, I think they're pretty similar, but I don't know how I can quantify that.
It's just we've had guests on Shabbat recently, and one of our friends, she's Indian and her husband is Jewish, so she converted, and she said that her mother, she's very traditional, and in her generation it was like when you give birth to a child, since this time you serve to your child, you kind of no longer a woman, the only mission you have is to serve your child. Is it the thing, is it similar to
Again, it's the same thing where it's not an Indian or a Jewish thing. It's a conservative reform or somewhere in between mindset, right? So some people look at it this way and some look at it that way. And I found that range across any group that you pick, whether it's Christians or Hindus or Indians or Americans, you're gonna find that spectrum everywhere. So
This was a bad show.
we have also a question. We actually have another Bene Israel person in this group, hopefully. I hope that she joined. Ruth Schmidt, she's also Bene Israel from India. Ruth, are you here? No, I think she's not with us.
I see on the name list Eva Irulkar, which sounds very Indian Jewish. Is that right, Eva? She's nodding yes. We can tell by the names.
We have a question from Judith Salab. Does the Indian Jewish community feel that they are one of the lost tribes of Israel?
That's the story that we've been told. And again, there's been questions about the validity of it, who approves, who's Jewish and who's not. And there were certain things that I've heard and read about that actually turned me against the religion more. For example, there was a girl who wanted to go to Israel and her mom had converted, similar to my story, right? And she was denied the visa to Israel because they didn't consider her Jewish, because the conversion of her mom had happened in India and not in Israel. I'm like, oh, so if we give you the money, then you're Jewish, but if somebody here does it, then it's not. That's the kind of hypocrisy that I find very annoying. And so I think I'll I'll pause there because it can get me going. But I mean, whether we are one of the original 12 tribes, literally goes back to my whole origin story, right? If you really believe in the origin story, then technically Abraham was the only Jewish person. So what's this whole idea of who is and who is not a Jew? Yes, Joy.
I have a question. Did I understand you to say that there's about how many Jews in Israel? In India, 6,000?
About 6,000, yeah.
Okay. Did World War II have any impact on that population? Did it used to be more? Did it used to be less? Did people, come from Europe to India? Did World War II have any impact on the population?
That's a good point, Joy. I think one of the biggest differences, the uniqueness of the Indian Jewish community, if there is one, is we don't view the Jewish history by the lens of the Holocaust as closely as some of the Western Jews, if I may say so, right? Because as per the story, what Dasha also mentioned, Jews have been in India for over 2,000 years. And probably the only country where Jews were never segregated or persecuted. We were just part of the population. We adopted a lot of the local traditions. Erulkar, Koletkar, you'll see there's a kar at the end, right? It's a very regional way of naming your last names. And even on the being part of the community and contributing in terms of businesses and trades, Jews became a part of India. And if you walk into any city in India, if you walk in the streets of Bombay and people pass you by, you can't tell if the person is Jewish or not. There's nothing look Jewish, right? So there is nothing unique. It's all blended in. So the Second World War, India had its impact, but the Jewish community by itself did not. The Holocaust, the continent, European continent suffered it more. The Indian Jews not as much. What did directly affect the Indian Jews was the attack that happened on 26/11/2008, I think it was, when they attacked the big hotels and the Chabad house, right? Because to me, I had moved to the US in 2000. And before that, every time we had to celebrate, Simchat Torah was the biggest festival for Jews in India. Rosh Hashanah, Kippur, you would go to the synagogues, you go to your parties, you go to Jewish weddings. They were just another event that was happening. And then after 2008, when I went back to India to visit, I was surprised that at the local synagogue I went to was on the 3rd floor. And at the ground level, there was a military base, like somebody with like machine guns and a military camp. And that to me was a little sad to see. It's like, oh, we used to live here fearlessly and everybody was just a part of the community. Now suddenly you need these guns to protect the Jewish populations of the country. So that to me was more, I could sense the fear was palpable when I was at these community events because people didn't want to stay out late. The numbers had dwindled. Not everybody came out in groups as much. It might have changed in the recent years, but definitely around 2009 when I was back in India, it did feel more impactful.
Thank you. Similar things going on here now.
Unfortunately, yeah. And that's, again, I don't mean to trivialize, but there's a subgroup of people that are always marginalized and feel out of place. Any minority in any majority country. So Jews felt that in 2008. There have been other incidences of other minorities feeling that in India. So it's the unfortunate part of our lives everywhere in the world. And hopefully things get better for everybody, everywhere.
Thank you.
I have another question from, do we have time? Do we still have time? Can we do one more question?
We Jews love to talk. Nobody has a problem. Let's go.
Okay, great. So I have a question from Steve Birnbaum. His question is, can you tell us which comedians influenced you and your role models?
Good question. So I'll break it down into a couple of, right? The first comedian that I saw live in the US is a comic by the name Don Macmillan. And my friend had taken me to a local comedy club here. And I was pretty fascinated at the fact that he was just telling jokes and getting paid for it. And like, that's a good profession to have. But I never thought that I would do it until I watched this Indian comedian, Russell Peters. And that to me was the first, like, oh, there's an Indian comedian doing so well. Maybe I can try it as well. So I actually started my stand-up pretty late. I started when I was 30. And once I got into comedy, the one comedian that influenced my style more than anybody else was George Carlin. And the one big difference between him and I don't use as much profanity as he does, but even his profanity is so well placed, it's making a point. So if you listen to the points he's making, it's brilliant. He's fearless. The use of words is amazing. And then he does what I call these long form jokes, right? He's not doing one-liners, boom, boom, boom. He takes a topic and he talks about it for a while. And that fascinated me the most. Like, how do I elongate my jokes so that I'm talking about something for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes? And I have, that's one of my favorite things to do is longer sets, longer bits. And also I like doing callbacks. So I'll make a joke, then I'll go back to it at a later point and do a callback to it. Those are the things I like doing mostly in my live shows. So yeah, George Carlin to me, I think has been the biggest influence in shaping my comedy. Russell Peters was probably the bigger influence in me starting doing live stand-up. So I'd probably put those two names.
Thank you. I have a question. It's my own question. So I'm originally from Moscow, Russia, and my grandmother was very into Bollywood films. Actually, the Bollywood films, they were everywhere in the Soviet Union. So it feels that we were raised on the Bollywood films because of the friendship between India and Soviet Union.
Correct.
And also, it was fascinating for me to know when I was reading Tolstoy letters that Gandhi used to write to Tolstoy, and Tolstoy used to mention Gandhi as this Indian guy. So Gandhi probably was young, and Tolstoy was already a mature writer. So this was fascinating. But talking about talking about Bollywood, I recently discovered, and we posted also a video that I encourage you to watch on CG Facebook page, that lots of stars, women stars in the Bollywood films, they were actually Jewish.
Oh yes. There's a documentary about this on Amazon Prime.
Really?
The Jewish women of Bollywood.
Oh wow.
I think the name of the documentary is Shalom Bollywood.
Yeah.
Amazon Prime. And I was I did an event with the film director last year. It was also a Zoom event, so he had joined in from Australia. I was here, and then we had an audience worldwide. And it was fascinating because I had heard how the first actresses in Bollywood were actually Jewish women. They were the pioneers for women to get into Bollywood lead roles. I did not know the details till I watched that movie, and I was very fascinated that somebody took the time and effort to do the research and come up with the exact details of how in the 30s, 40s, 50s, Hindu women were not allowed to be in movies. So a lot of the Jewish women took on Hindu names and they became the mega stars of Bollywood. It's a fascinating story, absolutely fascinating. I sort of knew about it, but I didn't know the extent and the details that I figured out once I watched the documentary. If you guys want to watch it, absolutely fascinating. Shalom Bollywood on Amazon Prime.
That's amazing. Any questions? And last question, sorry. If you recommend us any Bollywood film, which one would you recommend? What's your favorite, if you have one?
Oh, it's hard to pick one. What I just did while we were chatting, here's the link to Amazon Prime Shalom Bollywood.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Danny Ben Moshe was the director. What's a good Bollywood movie to watch? There's so many. There's one. I'll pick one of the newer ones and one of the older ones, and then if you want more, please message me. I'll be happy to make a playlist for you. Amongst the newer ones, there was a movie called Three Idiots. Three Idiots, right? I'll type it in here. It's about how the schooling system could be improved upon, how it's not all mechanical, like just do the things because you're told to do, but more to do with how's the right way to educate. And it did have a big impact on the education system in India. It's a very brilliant satire on the system. And then if you just want to watch a movie without any message or anything, just for the pure entertainment, there's an older movie, which was one of the longest running movies in theaters before all these online shenanigans had started, called Sholay. And Sholay is like fireworks, and it's pure masala movie. All right, it's like watching Mission Impossible, but it's also a very long movie. It's like, I think 3.5, 4 hours maybe. It's a fascinating movie to watch as well. It's one of those which once I turn on, I can't turn off.
Mm.
Yeah, those
Thank
two,
you.
entertaining, not too heavy. Like there's humor in it, and it's fun to watch. I'll put a third one. Sorry, I'm breaking my rule. See, this is the Jewish part of me. You asked me for one or two, I give you three. If you really want to watch this is the third movie called Satya, which is about the Mumbai underworld, the gangs of Mumbai and everything. It's a very gritty movie.
Bollywood.
Yeah, it's not you won't feel happy at the end of the movie, but it's a very, very gritty movie. It started this new trend in Bollywood. They started producing movies. There was a new genre of movies called Bombay Noir, which was all about the crime and the grittiness of the city, and it's very realistic. There you go, 3. If you want more, I'll send you a whole playlist. Let me know. There's so many good ones. That's
Thank
another
you so
fascinating
much.
for me also. I like to watch foreign movies a lot, so it's interesting to watch movies from around the world, and to me, it's a huge learning experience to see like, oh, there's something new and fascinating, and yet it's an overlap with the not so. Like I'll say one last thing. I know we're running over time, Dasha. You asked me this earlier about the similarity between Indian mothers and Jewish mothers. I'll tell you what I found interesting was when I watched the movie Fools Rush In, Matthew Perry and Salma Hayek. It's about a white American family and a Mexican family, and they are getting married, and all the chaos that ensues because of the cultural clashes, right? Clash of cultures. Then I watched this movie called My Big Fat Greek Wedding. It's about a white American family and a Greek family and all the culture clashes. And then I started noticing it's like, oh, the Mexican family in Fools Rush In is the Greek family in My Big Fat Greek Wedding, is the Indian family in whatever that Indian movie was about the Indian and American wedding. And I'm like, it's only the white families who seem to be the odd one out. Everybody else seems to be the same. So to some extent, right, I find like across the world, there's a lot of similarities between us more than there are differences. So Jewish mothers, Indian mothers, they're just mothers. They'll smack you. If you're in India, Indian Jewish mothers smack you left, right, and center. If you don't study, you're in trouble, right? You've got to do good. That's what everybody teaches you. So there you go.
It was fascinating. We learned so much. Thank you.
My pleasure.
I would like to say thank you to everyone who joined, and also thank you to I can see here Sandra Dzija. I hope that I pronounce your name correctly. It's our board member, and our past president, Maureen Walsh-David. I would like to say thank you to everyone who helped to organize this event. Terry Rosen, Sima Tusk, Jason Reagan, Laura Yasser, and Zina Sigal. It was a pleasure. Thank you for this amazing evening. Yeah, would love to see you again. And hopefully if you come to Baltimore, please let us know, and we're going to join and see you in person.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Thanks so much once again for having me.
Thank you. This was wonderful.
Thank you.
Happy
Thank you
Sunday,
very much.
everybody.